Very fancy, busy, booked out creator here, Ryan Radu.
Hey.
We're just joking. We're just talking about Ryan's hard stop and how he's a celebrity. He's got to pencil me in. No. We were also talking about this hate comment that I just got. Well, it wasn't a hate comment. I want to be careful by saying hate comment because I think
Mm.
hate comment is like, you suck, you're ugly, go away. But this one, it was not a nice comment. It was all caps.
Mm. Not all
So very
caps.
tired. All caps. She meant business.
Can
So
you
very
scream it as
tired.
she wanted it
Okay.
written out? No, I was kidding.
So very tired of every video selling something. That was her comment. Um, and the video, it was my video podcast setup for beginners video. And I showed my podcast setup. And there was I think like 90-second ad read for,
Mhm.
a sponsor. And so I'm guessing that's what she was talking about. I also did plug like, hey, if you need help with setting up your podcast, I do consulting, so hit me up. So I don't know which one she was upset by, probably both. um, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that, greater topic of ads, how to make good ads that maybe people don't yell at you about, but
Mhm.
also, why ads exist. Cause I did respond to her and kind of explained how it all worked. So,
Yeah. Which is
um,
a good way to do it. I think
yeah,
explaining like your side of it is the only way you can kind of combat that kind of thing. If someone else like maybe even sees it,
yeah.
and has that question.
Yes, like let's talk about supporting ads, but before we get into that too, I also just want to say like a general PSA about just if you like a creator, ways to support them even outside of ads, because I sometimes feel I just saw iJustine, who's this huge YouTuber. She was
Mhm.
posting about, I think this was just a personal video she made, like a video she wanted to make. And she mentioned like nobody watched that video kind of thing. She is a huge, I mean, she has like millions of
Huge.
subscribers. She's
Yeah,
one of the
millions. I followed her
OGs,
for a
she
while.
works with,
Yeah.
yeah, she works with like all the big tech brands and stuff. And even she's posting about it. And I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, her channel is going to crumble or like, you deserve to have views on something even if it wasn't good. But I sometimes people think, oh, somebody who's that big or even like at our size,
Mhm.
which we definitely still need help, like that we don't need public support. We don't need views. We don't need whatever. Like we're just going to be okay because we've quote unquote made it. But
Yeah.
you made a quote a couple podcasts ago, like it's harder to stay there or whatever
It's
than
harder
to
to
get
be at the
there.
top, to stay at the top than to get to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's so many ways to support people. And I'm going to kind of defer to you for the ad side for sure, because like you're a pro at
Mhm.
that. But another way, honestly, another thing that kind of like hurts my feelings somewhat, not hurt, that's a big thing to say.
Mhm.
But I've noticed a lot of people, like I'll post a video and one of two things will happen. Either they will ask me to summarize the video for them. They'll be like, "Oh,
In
what
the
do you think
comments?
about?" Yeah. Or like in my DM, like they'll DM me on Instagram, like I'll
Oh,
post a
gotcha.
teaser. And let's just say I'm saying, "Oh, me and Ryan are talking about brand deals today." And they're like, "Oh, what's the best way to get brand deals?" And I'm like, "We talk about it
What?
and like that's what the video's about." I'm sorry, you have to actually watch it. I'm not going to spoon feed you the summary.
Well, it's needed. I was literally, oh my gosh, this is so relevant. So,
Yeah.
I was just talking to my husband about this. Of we were kind of saying that I forget what it was sparked from, but somebody was talking about, well, why don't we just know that in the beginning? And I said,
Yeah.
in a movie, when you cry at the end of a certain movie, you don't cry because you didn't because they did it at the beginning. They did the big reveal or the big
Yeah.
climax at the beginning. You cried at the end of Fault in Our Stars
Yeah.
because you've watched these people's experience in their journey in their life, which led you to relate more to them, to have empathy, to where it
Yeah.
pushes you to cry for them while watching the video. And
Yeah.
maybe people nowadays, because of social media, are forgetting those like storytelling aspects to where even on our podcast, you will
Mhm.
get such a richer, like understanding of what, even if we said, okay, how to get brand deals, you can reach out to brands on Instagram. Cool.
Right.
But what about all the context around that? What to say,
Yes.
how to say it, what time of day to say it, maybe even is better. People, I think,
Yeah.
are we need to reconnect with that, because I haven't heard it from like a ton of people to say like, oh, this is happening everywhere, but
Yeah.
just people need to make sure to stay connected with that, because that is um that's the
Yeah.
aspect of it. That's the this it's the Luke, I am your father from Star Wars, for anyone who gets that reference. But it's like, that was so surprising and such a big thing in society because of those extra cues and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just
Yeah.
get you can't get great things right away.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of that has been lost. And I get that all the time for long form content. For I mean, I've always gotten that of like, oh,
Hmm.
well, like what do you think about the TikTok ban? I'm like, I literally, it's in the title. You just have to watch the video. And the reason
Right.
the reason outside of just like the added context that I think that's important for maybe people who aren't in this world to know is that that's how we make money. Like that is how I'm able to do this, is because people watch the
Right.
actual YouTube video and the YouTube video is monetized. Me posting on my Instagram story, I don't earn anything for that. Like literally the way that you actually are able to do this and
Hmm.
fund the production of this is by having people watch the YouTube video. So, you
Right.
know, if you like something or if you see a topic you're interested in by a creator, please actually click and watch the video. That's like the easiest thing you can do. And then the
Yeah.
second thing I want to rant about, I feel like I'm on one.
First of
I'm
all,
angry today.
and second of
Okay.
all.
The second thing I want to rant about, no, I get this a lot too. Again, I think this is probably very like long form content specific. Maybe, I don't know. But I got this on a video that didn't perform very well recently, like a YouTube video I posted.
Mm.
And I was getting so many people DMing me about it. They were like, "Oh, I loved this video, blah blah blah." But it had like no comments on YouTube. And I'm like, "Why?" Like, thank
It's like they
you
knew
for
that you were you were sharing something that was more personal, and they
yeah,
almost wanted
maybe.
to like reach out more personally to make sure you
Yeah.
see it, to say like, hey, because that's what I'll do with like my
Mhm.
close friends on Instagram, is like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
comment on their posts. I'll sometimes comment and then message them too. But I
Yeah.
do go like straight to messaging if it's like a close friend that I really want to say like, hey, good job, kind of deal
Interesting.
too.
Hmm.
So that could be right too. But that does kind of mess with the algorithm. Although on Instagram, I have heard that if you are messaging a lot, that does help,
Yeah.
you know, if they sent you
Yep.
like the video, because then that
Yeah.
counts as a share.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just messaging a lot. I notice when I'm DMing people a lot, like my Instagram engagement is higher. I
Yeah.
don't know, just because I'm like, spending more time on the app or something. And
Yeah.
because my content gets shown to those people who I'm messaging with. But I still am ranting about this because my video is posted on YouTube and YouTube needs the love. Like,
Yeah, it
leave a
does.
comment on YouTube. Like, and I don't want to sound negative. Like, thank you to the people who do always leave comments. Like, I love the people who leave first or so excited to watch another Latasha video. Like, they're out there and like, thank you so much. And we're
Yeah.
going to talk about those same supporters when we talk about ads, I think. But yeah, I just don't know if people maybe know that like if a video has like no comments, it's gonna continue tanking. So like please show it some love. That's all. That's all. I try to do that for my favorite creators. That's all. That's
Yeah, I
all.
think there always has to be that. I think people can almost get into like a 20/80 or like 30/70 for someone who has been going at it for a while, because I guess speaking from my own experience, it's, I had a lot more time early on in my content creator career to focus on my consulting side of my business, which was my primary revenue driver.
Mhm.
And then after going at it for 4 or 5 years and wanting to step things up for people, or to essentially make as much content with, uh, what I had available, I needed to invest more into it. And because of that, I got more money from the content side, but now the content side is becoming a bigger revenue driver, to
Yeah.
where I need support there because it's almost like, hey, if you want me to like take this plunge from my consulting, not saying anyone even asked per se, but just if you want to keep seeing the content that I make,
Yeah.
I needed to take that plunge. So now I took the plunge.
Yeah.
Are you with me kind
Yeah.
of deal? Or like,
Yeah.
can can you spare some time to watch or
Yeah.
give, and I think it's almost not even about, it's not even about watching the whole thing. It's really
Mhm.
about giving it a good, honest try, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like, watch the first at least like 6 to 8 seconds of a video that
Yeah.
of short form that a creator you like, because then at least their average time spent watching it goes up, and the algorithm will like it more. And if it's bad after that,
Yeah.
then sure, it's probably just not a good video from them for you.
Yeah.
But I think just almost like giving your favorite creators more of a chance, I think is a really
Yeah.
good way to support them in the algorithm at all.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to sound entitled. I know I came in
No,
hot
I don't
there,
think you
okay?
do.
I'm not I'm not trying to sound entitled. It's just like when I tell you like the messages I get are like you changed my life. Like
Yeah.
I quit your job from that or quit my job from that one video or like I signed my first five-figure contract. It's like, can I get a comment, please?
Right.
Like that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like, "Oh, your hair looked good in that video." Like
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, if you're seriously telling me that I like change the trajectory of your business, like,
Hmm.
you know, like that's all I'm saying. And I actually think this is um kind of a greater trend that I'm noticing, which somebody brought up a hypothesis to me in my
Hmm.
comments recently, which was really interesting. I'm seeing a lot less comments and shares in general on social media. Like, and
Hmm.
I was reviewing a report in one of my videos that supported that overall comments and shares, like public engagement is down on social
Hmm.
media. The commenter brought up an idea and they were like, well, I think it's because everything's so algorithmic now. And so a lot of people are like stingy with it because if I comment on something on TikTok, I'm going to get a
Hmm.
million, Ryan
Yeah.
style content. And maybe I don't want my feed to be infiltrated by just that. So that
Yeah.
was one thought. But my thought was, I think culturally, we're kind of like, it's like cringe to like things. Like it's like
Hmm.
cringe to like be a fan or to be a supporter. Do you
Yeah.
ever do you ever get that vibe? I feel like Gen Z is very like that.
I kind of want to share a flip side.
You're like choosing your words so carefully.
Right. So I will say, I, okay, this is going to be a big claim. And
Yeah.
I hope people don't take it bad. And I'm not saying I'm like the expert at making super shareable content that everyone
Yeah.
loves. And again, like I have a niche, it's a special thing. But what's not special that I think everyone can relate to, as I truly believe, and this is, it's not you, but because your education, I can see this kind of
Yeah.
like being roped in to where I feel like I've figured out a little bit of a secret sauce, and I'm going to share with
Yes.
everybody in this,
Yes.
um, because it has to get out there. It's not about you, and
It's not you, it's
I
me.
say that, yeah.
Just break up with me already.
No, but I think that again, I think education's just kind of being roped in because it's education and might not, people again, I think are being stingier with shares and comments because they know like a share they're gonna send to their friend. So a stingy like share per se. Shares are kind of like a newer, kind of engagement
Yeah.
period, to where I find I'm like sharing things left and right with like my husband and things like that. But I think that there was this era of social media. We almost went from, like, you talk about YouTube, beginning YouTube was all about just like showcasing your life. This is me living my life. I'm going to watch that. I mean, literally, like, I think, like I mentioned her before, Emma Chamberlain, she was literally just sharing her life. Social media
Yeah.
was about her content was about her. Then we got into this world where your content's about you, but you're living an interesting life. You're cool. Like, that's what's enticing about watching you. You have this unique life. And I think now people are kind of over that a little bit. They're over the person just sharing that they went to a really, even for myself, like you'll notice in my content, I do it sometimes, but I don't do it that often. And I typically get lower engagement. Hey, look, I went to this fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Now, the video style matters. Did I just show you, hey, I went to this fancy restaurant? Or did I say, hey, there's this cool new restaurant that you can go to too as well. Here's where it is.
Yeah.
All this other stuff. Like I'm I'm making the video with you in mind. And I think
Yeah.
that there is a ton of creators that have been around a bit, maybe, that or even newer ones that are still focusing, and this I guess is more in the entertainment space, but just focusing
Yeah.
on showing off them. But
Yes.
if you don't have me in mind in the content, if I don't relate to it, if I don't see myself in you, you've talked about it before. It's like it's aspirational. Used to be
Mhm.
what people got, and I don't think people are getting that anymore. I don't think they want to
Yeah.
aspire to these creators. They just want to feel seen and heard, and that's what I
Yeah.
try to give these days. But how I don't know how did that? How do you think that impacts you in the education space too?
Yeah, I think people want relatable, but I hear you definitely to your point on like education content or not education content, entertainment
Yeah.
content, lifestyle content, like my vlogs. Yeah, people don't want to see me going and doing the fanciest thing in the world. They want just
Hmm.
me at my desk, like normal life. And that's what I want to show. That's not my style anyway, to be like super flashy or anything. Not
No.
that I'm like some multimillionaire or anything. But yeah, I think for the education content where why I say people don't want to like support, I guess, is I think
Hmm.
there's a weird you know, I'm going to share one of your videos cuz it's funny and like it's not a threat to me by any means
Yeah.
or it's not me saying, "Oh, Ryan made me like my Michigander identity is because of Ryan." You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
he taught me how to be a Michigander. Like it's not that it's more of like we're just like sharing like
Yeah.
things that we all
It's
feel
fun.
and you're
Yeah.
highlighting things that I don't know if that makes sense. Whereas with
Yeah,
like
it does.
education content, I think it's almost like people don't want to give credit. Like people don't want to be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
well, Latasha taught me this thing or
Yeah.
Latasha helped me get that first five-figure contract." I want to be the one
Hmm.
to be like, I did this, like, which they did. Obviously, they're the ones who physically did it, but like, it doesn't hurt to like get like, I try to give shout outs to people who helped me along the way, whether it was a book or
Yeah.
a podcaster or a friend or a family member or a loved one. And I just think that's not cool anymore. Like, this era of social media for some reason is like hyper independent and like
Hmm.
people just don't want to give credit. And I think there's actually a lot of reasons for that. That is like probably a different story for a different time. But like, I just think that kind of clip culture has done that in that
Yeah.
we're watching 30-second clips of everything as opposed to like reading a book or watching a full YouTube
Yeah.
video. And so people don't even know how to cite their sources because they're like, I don't know. I heard it on a TikTok
I
somewhere.
got
Like,
this
I don't
from
know who
somewhere.
said
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know.
So I think that's part of it. And like I think
Yeah, that could be
AI
definitely
is
part of
part of
it.
it and like kind of this idea of like ownership over content is like community ownership. Like,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I
I think
definitely
that's
feel
no,
that
I think
way.
that's huge. I'm really glad you shared that because I think that especially in the education space for what you do specifically, I can totally see somebody not wanting to like share their secret sauce for
Hmm.
how they, I don't want to sometimes for my job I Google things. I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell clients that, even though they know, you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
there is an art to being able to search for what you want, and you need to understand the entire pipeline to even understand what you're Googling and
Yeah.
how to read it. But yeah, maybe there's a thing with like even like there's a problem with feeling secure to
Hmm.
where the people, especially in the education space, like I can totally see somebody who maybe is new up and coming watching one of your videos, but maybe not necessarily wanting to. It's the abundance mindset versus not,
Yeah.
and confidence in your own what you what value you bring.
Yeah.
And if you don't
For sure.
have those two things, I can totally see somebody not wanting to support you. and share it
Yeah,
or anything like
totally.
that.
Totally. But I want to spend the last bit of this conversation taking notes from the pro himself because I think I do think there is something to say. Like I said, I don't want to sound entitled.
Yeah.
I think there is a way to crack through that because if I was truly making the funniest or the most engaging ad
Hmm.
or tip or whatever, people would still share it. I think they would still share it less than like purely entertainment content, but I
Yeah,
think they
that's
would.
true.
I think there are, or at least whatever, let's give it a college try. So,
Hmm.
and definitely for like this lady who commented on my video, that was a true sponsored ad spot. Maybe I could have done that in a way that made her laugh or made her,
Hmm.
you know, not see it as a burden. How do you do that? How do you weave in your
Yeah.
sponsored content
Yeah, it's the
effectively?
short form definitely helps. I will say, like, I noticed that on YouTube, and maybe this is like a whole platform thing, and this is why maybe you and I in talking about this, I feel like with every good thing going into it, you feel like you're kind of, I just thought of this visual. You're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, you don't see land anywhere, and you're just kind of knowing the direction you're going, but you just got to keep pushing forward. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's what it feels like navigating these new waters with platforms and how to adjust ads and things like that, especially when you don't see it being maybe done the best out in the real world. Um,
Hmm.
but YouTube, it kind of everything I watch, I feel like has that little, this video sponsored by such and such.
Yeah.
It's brought to you by this. I know this is the only way I'm watching this content, as we've talked about in the early part of this
Yeah.
podcast. Other people I can see like who don't think about that, like the advertising industry. And I mean, going back to it, people watch commercials to watch TV shows. I know streaming's kind of switched that up, although they're getting back to ads now. So maybe people will get back into that mindset because not even a Netflix can survive without
Yeah.
charging you and then adding ads in between your content now. They weren't being profitable, clearly enough,
Yeah.
or just wanted more. But I will say for short form and being in the entertainment space, it's really nice because it also depends on the brands you work with. Because I've encountered some brands that don't want me to be my funny, campy kind of self in a video. And you can kind of tell the video organically doesn't do as well, but maybe they want to use it for an ad. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter as much because to their industry, that is like even being a little bit funny or having an exuberant person is enough. So I understand
Right.
that. My favorite brands to work with wise are just not favorite because I mean everyone has their own like gem.
Yeah.
But the ones that I have more fun doing is one that just lets me be me. And I actually posted something recently that was they said, make a campaign. Here's just the content we want. Everything else is up to you. I wrote up the whole thing. They approved it, and it was great. And I feel like the posts, the videos are gonna do well. And
Yeah.
because it's very relatable, it's very I can think about the person in mind versus even the business. Like if businesses give creators more freedom, it allows them to again think about the person on the other side versus talking about services,
Yes.
or anything like that. Like this specific piece of content, it's about people
Yeah.
and it's funny and funny slash. I think there's the two main like things in advertising that they say you want to uh, enact is laugh or hope or like
Mm.
something like that. Um,
Yeah. It's like
and so when people do
entertainment
that,
or inspiration, basically.
yeah, and so and I feel good about it too because I'm able to make money again, sustain myself, do this because I get to be creative and what have you. So I don't know where I was going with that one, but all in all, I think the entertainment space is a little bit easier
Yeah.
because I can showcase, and I think I get certain brands like you get kind of brands that want to talk about features and
Hmm.
are more technical. I don't get any of
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
So versus like mine are almost like in the advertising world, there's this thing called awareness. And it's kind of like, hey, we just want to get our brand name out there. And I think
Yeah.
that sometimes I tend to attract people who want that because I can offer
Yeah.
it in kind of this fun way. Uh, so yeah, there's a
Whereas I'm
lot.
getting
There's a
more
lot
down
to
funnel.
it.
People want
Yeah,
I'm
versus
getting
yeah,
more down
correct.
funnel. They want conversions. They're like,
Yes,
we
because they
know
know
you have this
somebody,
community. Yeah.
right? Somebody watching a video of Latasha's might be ready to buy,
Hmm.
right then and there. They're looking
Yeah.
up how to start a podcast, and you mentioned this great tool that you use. I'm ready to buy it.
And
If I
yeah.
that's a great testimonial of 30-minute video.
Yeah.
That's how I bought all of my photography stuff was going to
Right.
YouTube and watching people use it because you have to.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, that there's.
But I think there's a way that, and I'm going to test this, that
Mm,
I can inject more entertainment into, for lack of better words, more
mm,
boring or, technical content. Like, for instance, I think people know, like, Metricool is the sponsor of my other podcast.
mm,
I've worked with them for 3 years. They're great. But, like, why don't I test out rewriting a script from here are some of the great features in Metricool to, like, don't you hate it when your client asks to make a revision last minute or like
yes.
whatever, like making it
Mm,
more entertaining. And like I could even do characters. Like I could do like
right.
me dressed up as a client, me dressed up as social media manager, and like have a little fun with
Hmm.
it, you know?
Yeah. I think that, and again, like, let's tie it back to something that people can really like grab onto. You either have, is it funny or does it give people hope? Is it like a little bit aspirational? We'll talk about, even though I just said
Hmm.
like aspirational content is not the vibe, with ads, it's a different kind of aspirational. It's
Yeah.
this is what you could be able to do with this camera,
Yeah.
just to explain myself there.
Yeah.
And for YouTube specifically in that long form educational content, I think that could actually work versus short form. You don't get a lot of context, not a lot of social cues, things like that. But yeah, I feel like if you add one of those two things just to kind of switch it up, what's really funny is I'm always tying it back to the RuPaul's Drag Race community, but a lot of the creators on there do actually do characters with their ads, like the YouTubers.
Yeah.
They'll start the episode of whatever they're doing, and then they'll cut directly to like, hey, this is brought to you by whatever, and like they'll be dressed as a funny character or doing something different to switch it on its, turn on its head a
Yeah.
little bit. um yeah, you can always play around with it and see, because even I'm playing around with things a lot just to see what works and what doesn't, so that I can be that much just better the next go around and know what works. But I do try to just get it for myself because I'm already in the entertainment space to what content I already make. But for you,
Yeah.
I think you could definitely just like, you know, try something new. Why not? And
Yeah.
tell the brand, say like, hey, this is
Hmm.
more of a tester, but if it doesn't work, at least we know what we're doing is the best,
Yeah.
that we can make with this.
Yeah, for sure. So that's my homework. I'm going to try to jazz some things up, especially for the like recurring things. I think it's fun because it's like I don't want to put so much production value into like a 30-second ad read if it's just a
Hmm.
one timer, but it's like this is a brand I work with all year. So let's try some
There's
vintage
one of my
content.
favorite podcasts. It's a comedy podcast ish. They talk about more so their lives, but in their ad spots, they record them, and it'll be like BetterHelp,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "Do you find yourself feeling doom and gloom?" Like the things they say make no
Yeah.
sense whatsoever. Not even the doom and gloom part, because that would even make sense. But like they just rattle off like, do you find yourself at home talking to your mom, Suzanne, too often? Or like it's very
Yeah.
like off the wall specific, but I live for it. I actually listen to the ads because it
Hmm.
it, it cracks me up, or it's just like, what are they going to say next?
Yeah.
So I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, you can definitely always turn things on their head,
Yeah, and to
gets
to bring it
people,
back to
goes
original
off.
commenter on my YouTube video, it's like either number one, it's gonna perk your ears up and you're actually gonna listen and be like, oh wait, this is a relevant like service or
Hmm.
tool. Maybe I do need to check that out. Or at the very least, you'll be like, well, she made me laugh. So that was the value exchange there. No, I'm not going to
Yeah,
buy that. Yes, I'm annoyed it's an ad, but I'm not annoyed it's an ad because I laughed through
yeah,
it, as opposed to
right,
just like I'm skipping through this. Hey, today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp, like this
right.
boring waste of my time.
Yeah, because some brands will want you just to like recite things, and I don't think that's the best way for brands to get their message to anybody. It's
Yeah.
like you have to kind of show people why they should even
Yeah.
listen to you in the world where, there's ads everywhere now. I mean, it's everywhere, it's everything, you know,
Yeah.
what have you too. But
But none here. We thrive off of your support. Thank you for the viewer
you
support.
won't
No.
find any ads here. So
No
we are
ads
currently
here.
thriving off of viewer support. So thank you for actually watching and for
Yeah.
listening. Subscribing does help us to continue making this podcast. And yeah, that's the way you can support us: subscribing,
Yeah.
leaving a review, commenting, liking the video. Because everything helps boost the algorithm on the back end so that people looking
Yeah.
for content creator might find our podcast just on the
Yeah.
whim, and helps build this little
Yeah.
community to give us more value, which in turn gives you more value. So
Yeah.
that's
We
my
appreciate you
that's
and
my
we
going out
appreciate
now.
those of you who are always in the comments and subscribing and liking. We see you. We appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, I think.
Bye everyone.
Bye.